All right, Molly here, Boston Marathon. You're racing in April, but you're not racing Boston.
I am
right?
not. I raced yesterday. So.
True.
Yeah.
So what's it like to be here in Boston and just be around the marathon scene?
It's good. It's a little bit of mixed emotions for me because like I love getting to come back here, like having lived here for 5 years. Like my friends are here. I love the energy of Boston Marathon weekend, but it also is bittersweet. Like I would love to be racing it this year, but like, yeah, I don't know. I'll be back eventually. And
What's
just,
This so coming off of Orlando, right? You obviously had to sit that one out.
Yeah.
What's the I guess where are you at in kind of preparations, targeting races? Like you have this upcoming ultra race on the calendar.
Honestly, it's funny that everyone's like making a really big deal about it because it is like honestly like I had to take close to 2 full months off with my knee, and it's taken a while to get back. Like it's been a difficult injury to come back from, and so obviously with not running the Olympics this summer, I'm really trying to give myself the time to make sure that it heals up. I feel like that's I've been going really full tilt for a while, and so I want to make sure that I'm giving myself the recovery that I actually need. So doing the 50K is a nice way to race without having to put the pounding on my body that marathon training does. And same thing, like I could have come back and tried to run Boston this year, but like the Boston Marathon means a lot to me, and I don't want to treat it as a consolation prize. Like when I come back to Boston, I want to be ready to run Boston.
When the news gets out about you running trail, I'm curious like what that reception is, because I got to imagine like the trail community when they see one of the most elite runners in the U.S.
They got really excited. Yeah, it's funny because that's what I do like about the trail community, having been kind of like dipping my toe in it the last few years, is there is no gatekeeping in trails. Like they are just legitimately so excited to have more people like drinking the Kool-Aid and doing it. Everybody's like, oh, so you switch a fully trail? I'm like, no, there's no money in trails, but it's really fun to get to add that in as part of like my, just like, I don't know, training repertoire. Yeah. Like I think it's important to be able to keep that physicality that the trails provides and then bring that back to the roads.
When you what caused you to kind of dip the toe in the trail versus just prepping for some other tune-up race?
So it's something that I've done. Like I've done trail racing since I was in college, and I've found that a lot of my really successful seasons come on the heels of having done a lot of trail training, either during the summer, like when I won NCAAs in college. I'd been doing mostly trail running that summer leading into it. Even last year, 223 in Chicago came off the heels of trail racing in the summer. So I think that kind of interdisciplinary approach has worked really well for me throughout my career. It's when I get really locked into just road racing that I start finding myself, I'm like, I'm fast, but I don't feel like an athlete anymore, and I get hurt really easily. So it's just part of this longer push for just longevity in the sport. I want to keep doing this for another 10 years and got to find creative ways to keep myself strong.
I was asking you about track, and you said track for this year is not on the horizon, but so is the outlook for fall, and like how do you
fall marathon? I think it was a really difficult decision to make because I think immediately when I couldn't run trials for the marathon, I was like, okay, let's try and make the team in the 10K, and the knee just honestly took a lot longer to recover than I thought it was. Like it's been really difficult, and it was a hard few months of having to kind of let go of Paris, like let go of that idea of like me making that team, because it like I've spent 4 years dreaming of going and racing in Paris, and having to finally let go of that idea of okay, maybe you can make the 10K team. It was tough, but you know, there's always more stuff to do. Luckily with road racing, there's always big marathons on the horizon, and just trying to make the most of a situation that isn't ideal.
With like everything in your like career, I feel like you've embraced being like communicating with your community, right?
Yeah.
And letting them know like what's going on, how you're dealing with things through your social media, through your podcast.
For better or for worse.
Yeah. And your like podcast with your sister and all this. So I'm just curious how has that like been a help for you in like going through everything that you experience as a professional athlete?
I think like for me, being able to be a little bit more open about where I'm at, like what drives me nuts sometimes is that there is almost this like gatekeeping and secrecy around a lot of pro sports. No one's ever like saying exactly how they're feeling, what they're doing, and it was honestly when I broke my knee and having to be really under wraps about it all through January leading into trials, just cross-training my ass off, but also having to like almost do it in secret. It fucking sucks. Like, you feel like clandestine, you feel like you're trying to be sneaky, and I don't like that feeling. And so it's like, I think it really reinforced that it's like, it's important to me to be very open about the ups and downs of the journey, because I think that's what connects to people. Like, every runner goes through that. Every pro goes through it, whether or not they talk about it. And so it's like, I think it's important that we show what the real side of the sport is.
Yeah, because it's like a lot of times it's like the day before the race, you hear when the people, and track marathons, people drop out.
And there's like a real reason for that. I mean, for me with this, it's like, yeah, we were trying, like, you don't want to like show your cards too soon. My intention was to try and race, and up until the day I dropped out, we were like, we're going to try and make it work. But it just got to the point where it was pretty clear that I wasn't going to be able to go and put on my best showing with the state that I was in, and I don't want to disrespect the trials in that way of me going out and dropping out at mile 5. Like, so it's a little bit of just like trying to be open and honest about what the journey is.
Is the secrecy part of that, is that really come down to kind of the competitive edge with the other competitors you're going against, so you don't want them to kind of go into it planning like, oh, they don't have to worry about me? Or
no, I think it was a little bit more of just like trying to think of like the right way to say that. I think a little bit of it was trying to keep in that frame of mind of like, no, like up until the fat lady sings, like I am doing this thing. It's less than like, honestly, I don't give a shit what people think about me. Like, people don't really take me seriously anyway, even after winning a medal. So it's like I think for me, it's a little bit more of like keeping up this mentality of like, I'm a competitor, I'm going out and I'm going to put on my best showing. And then sometimes you just have to be honest with yourself about like, yeah, like it's not always your day. 4 years ago, it was my day. This time around, it wasn't. That's just how the sport goes.
It's like you don't want to give yourself the excuse.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, because, and I think that's it, is like, I hate that sandbagging mentality of just like, oh, my buildup was so bad. And it's like, no, like everybody goes through struggles in a marathon build. That's what a build is. Like, don't fucking sandbag yourself.
So what, I guess, how are you approaching this year now that like the fall is kind of the target? Mm-hmm. Like, does that give you time to kind of relax, get back into things the way you need to, or are you trying to hit things along the way?
I think it's like, it's really nice having a little bit more flexibility in the approach to this year, because so much of what we do as pro athletes, it's very rigid. Everything's scheduled out. You live your life like almost like working backwards, like year by year. And it's a little bit fun to be able to go into it and be like, hey, like when an opportunity arises, I'll take it. Like, obviously we've got goals for fall marathon racing, but up until then, I have the flexibility to listen to my body, see how things are going, and like, I don't know, just kind of play it by ear a bit. And I don't usually get that luxury. It's definitely a little bit of a mental shift to go from like everything being so rigid and thinking like, man, I had been planning my entire year working backwards from Paris. And so it's like, yeah, let's have fun with it. See what we can do now. Be a little bit more creative.
Cool. Speaking of creative, outside of running, anything else you'll be focused on? Obviously, we mentioned the podcast you got going on. Is there anything like we should be aware of that you're cooking up?
I don't know, man. I'm
day by day.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I'll probably go out to Chamonix again at the end of the summer, see if we can do some fun stuff, maybe with Strava, Koros again, doing stuff around UTMB. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's the fun part, is just, I'm the kind of person, when an opportunity arises, I kind of just go for it. And yeah, just have fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Molly, and good luck out at Canyons.
Cool.
We'll be following along. Thanks.